All right, welcome. This is Gary Parker. It's free spreadsheet. So I love free stuff, especially when it's good. Google has a spreadsheet called Sheets. If you have a Google account, you can just sign into it. If you don't have a Google account, create one. Check this out. Sign into my account. If you already have a Google account and you've never used it, you can use the Apps button here and choose your drive. I have a lot of stuff in my drive because I use this a lot. If you're new to Drive, then you can just click the new button and create yourself a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is a tool for doing math. Now, it's a good idea in any program to name the file. And so maybe here, now it's loading, go. I can just say playing around is the name of my file. In a spreadsheet, you can type numbers, you can type words, you can type math. If you do math on a spreadsheet, like if you want to know what is 1 plus 1, you want the answer 2, you have to type equals first. 1, and then it displays the answer. And when you click back on that cell, each of these in the grid here, the cell, it recorded 1 plus 1. Let's put that up for a little bit. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Numbers come in right aligned, text comes in left aligned. This is more than just a number, there's a symbol in it, so the computer considers it text. The computer can change the font of things like you do in a word processor. You can change the size of the fonts. You can decorate the font by making it bold or colorful. You can backfill the cell. There's lots of things you can do to decorate it. Sometimes you want to do some more complicated math, like add up a list of numbers. So it's a code. I want to know what is the total of these numbers right here. To do that, I can go to the Insert Function option, and it gives me some common ones like sum or average. So I'm going to choose sum, and it says, well, what do you want to sum? And I say I want to sum these, oops, try that again, it has to be inside the parentheses. I want to sum these numbers right here, so you just highlight what you want, hit enter, and it tells me the sum is 10. You could find the average of those numbers by similarly going to format, excuse me, insert, divide, function, average, and then select the cells I want to average, enter, and the value of them. There's a ton of formulas that you can insert, and you can search for different kinds of formulas here under Google Sheets. If you know the name of the formula, you can just start typing it, and then you can select it. So here I could do standard deviation of a sample, of a population, sample. On Excel, you would hit Tab, and Google Sheets, you hit Enter to select it. And then, like before, select your numbers. This time I have to close the parentheses and hit Enter. Perhaps I want to know what the square root SQRT is of a certain number. I can just click on that number. And usually I label stuff so I know what I'm looking at when I go back to it. Now notice when I calculated the square root, double-clicking shows me the formula. It says I clicked on cell A9 to calculate the square root, enter to exit that cell. If I go back to that 4 and make it a 9, all the cells that reference that are updated automatically. And so that's called relative cell referencing. So again, I chose a cell here. When I was typing my formula, anytime I update that cell, it will update the answer anywhere that's used. And notice average, total, square root, standard deviation, they were all updated when I changed the number 16. So spreadsheets are powerful tools for doing mathematics. You can make charts from spreadsheets. Suppose that I had a bunch of numbers, like the amount of change you might have in your pocket, like 25 cents, 50 cents, 0 cents, 150 cents, 20 cents, 5 cents. So I have a whole bunch of numbers that people have in their pockets. I could then do something like ask a spreadsheet, and this is a trick that Google Sheets has that OpenOffice and Microsoft Excel do not, is if I go up here to More and I click this chart button, it will say, do you want to make a chart with this? And it gives me a bunch of different options. What it's making here is a line graph with those numbers. I can ask it to make a histogram, in which here it's counting how many of the numbers I entered were between 0 and 30, how many were between 30 and 60, 50, and then 80, and so on. Gives me all these different options. Customize gives me the ability to tweak it. Like maybe I want to, instead of going from 0 to 30, maybe I want to go from 0 to 10. So I can have it recount how many things are less than 10 cents, between 10 and 20 cents, and so on. We'll talk more about histograms later. There's all different kinds of charts that you can insert. And in some ways, Google Sheets does a better job on some spreadsheets. In some ways, Excel and OpenOffice do a better job. It kind of depends. Nothing's perfect. Some things are good at one thing but suck at others, and that's just the way it goes. I'll show you a different spreadsheet here. This is this says LibreOffice. It's the same thing as OpenOffice, which I recommended in the course website in the intro video. Same kind of thing. You can type numbers, you can type text, you can type formulas if you start with equals, plus 2. You can type formulas, square root of 4. You can use other cells in your formulas. Remember, formulas have to start with equals, SQRT, it's square root. And then I can click on 3 here. And then if I change that through to something else, it will automatically update the answer because it's doing what's called a relative cell reference. It says it's going to find the square root of whatever I put in that cell. If I try to put something in that cell that doesn't make sense, it'll say, huh? What? I have no idea what you're talking about. Some other things I didn't mention in Google Sheets, if I had a number like 0.5, I could format that as money or a percentage. I can adjust the amount of decimal places I see with different buttons. I can change the way text looks. I can insert charts. We'll go over more of that later. I think LibreOffice maybe is a little bit closer to Excel, or OpenOffice is a little closer to Excel if you're used to Excel. And if you already have Excel, great, use it. It's an awesome program. Mr. Watts, who created a lot of the site that we're using, uses Excel often. I have a lot of videos with Excel in it also. But again, more often these days, I use Google Sheets for my work. Just want to go. Another nice thing about Google Sheets is I don't have to worry about where I saved it necessarily. So when I go back to my drive, I can see that the file playing around is in there. I could create a special folder for it. So I could go to New, let's see, Folder, and I could say something like Math 243, Summer 2015. It'll create a folder for me, and then I can stick files in there, or enter that, and put a new sheet or doc in there. And there are some things, again, that Google Sheets doesn't do well, that Excel does better, but there's also some things that Google Sheets does better. Nothing's perfect. So that's just a little intro to spreadsheets. I hope that was helpful. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.